Hello, welcome to another Dungeon a Day video, this time for September. This is the 6th one of these I've done now, so that's 6 months I've been doing these for. Great fun. In other news, the proof of the random mini dungeon zine arrived. Very pleased with it. I think it's one of the first proofs I've looked at and hadn't had too many things to fix. One or two, there's always one or two. But yeah, so that's arrived. I've made the fixes, I've sent it off to the printer. So as soon as they arrive, I will be stuffing envelopes and getting them out to all the lovely people who bought them. They will be on sale once I've sent the pre-orders out and also available as a PDF. Right, there we go. Happy with that. Let's get on with the dungeon this month. So here was the September prompts, all dwarf themed. Still available on Odd Artworks. My first role was Dwarven Champion. So one of the things I wanted to do with this map is change the scale. They were all getting quite big, very full of characters and things like that. So I wanted this to kind of be a bit more practical, so you might be able to use this for one of your games. We'll see how it goes. But kind of started simple dwarf walking up a hill. We've got a sealed ancient door. So I always try and keep these things outdoors to begin with and find a way in. So this seemed like a sensible way in. So I just did a big sealed door in a cliff face. Very straightforward. I don't think I was particularly motivated that day. I think I had a lot of things on, so yeah, I probably could have made it more ornate and things like that, but sometimes if you're not in the mood, you're not in the mood. And then just filling in the black with my lovely big fat smelly pen, which you'll see runs out at the end of this. Very sad. Okay, number 2, Ancient Forge. So I'd already drawn an Ancient Forge in my other Dwarven video, so I just kind of wanted to keep it the same. Fairly straightforward, pretty happy with it. Yeah, so just against the wall there, nothing too complicated. I am, just to remind everybody, I am doing a video I'm going to try and do a video every day for October, so be sure to tune in tomorrow. I'll try and upload them all at the same time of day as well, so probably around 4:30 British time. Okay, fairly straightforward, just trying to create a little bit of kind of greebly stuff on the floor there. And the next one was Echoing War Drums. So I kind of like that scene in Lord of the Rings where you just hear the drums, and I like the idea of the orcs in this particular dungeon coming up from the floor, like there's been some kind of natural kind of earthquake or something, and they've erupted from the floor. I don't know if you can see one of the orcs is holding a drum, so I have kind of kept to it, but I kind of wanted to put some action in here pretty quickly. I also kind of decided really early on I want this to be quite lonely, quite abandoned. And I think it might have been here that I decided that. So yeah, going pretty well so far. Next one, a locked vault. So again, this is probably why you would come adventuring here. You're looking for whatever goodies are within this dwarf hold. So I just came up with a giant metal door. Maybe that's what the orcs are after as well. Maybe it's what everyone's after. I think I end up doing quite a few different people's trying to infiltrate this place, so whatever's behind that door, very valuable. So yeah, this was good fun. I like dwarves. It's always a good fantasy thing. I think they're not as popular as they used to be, I don't think, but I still like them. I think they're cool. So yeah, I foolishly didn't have the camera in the right place when I was drawing the first part of the statue, but there we go, we get it in the right place now. Yeah, so why am I going to do a video every day in October? Well, October is my favourite month of the year. The map will be spooky themed. The prompts are on oddartworks.com now that you can get. And last year we did a thing called Gobtober, which I made a video of last week. Kind of want to do it again, and I feel like a daily video or an attempt at a daily video would be a good way to do that. Right, back to this. A trapped gem hoard. So I think I kind of decided this place, some kind of cave-in would be quite nice. So this is where I think I decided the cave-in has kind of revealed the gemstones. And though they don't look like they stand out that bit when I put all the rock texture in, I did make them stand out with the colour part in the end. And sometimes that's what you just got to do. You've got to believe in the process and just keep a mental note of what's happening. If it doesn't work in black and white, you can always try and make it work in colour. And there we go, we've got a row done. So nice, kind of quiet little narrative going on at the moment, like some of the other ones where it's quite bombastic and there's all sorts of things happening. It's quite quiet. Alright, dwarf statues, the next one. So we've got a dwarven statue standing guard against the gates. That's what I was thinking. I've drawn a few dwarven statues in these map videos, and this one was quite nice to draw one complete and not corrupted. I think all the rest have had weird, horrible things going on. And I kind of imagine that these are like, I don't know, the dwarven version of garden gnomes. And then we had an ember-eyed statue next, so it was quite nice to do kind of two of them. Very random. It's always fun how random these rolls are sometimes. And continuing the footprints of the warrior or the champion walking up the hill, and just making note that this one has a glowing eye. Yeah, so quite nice little entranceway there. And then we get a warrior. So again, this is a fairly straightforward drawing, just a dwarf. Kind of imagine maybe the champion's part of an expedition who's trying to reclaim this place or just discovered it because it's been lost for a long time. He's heading towards the gates to support the champion, whatever endeavour they're doing. So yeah, nice and straightforward. And then we've got a runic warrior. So again, really weird how these things turn out. And I kind of wanted to put the runic warrior inside, so I could have kept it outside, but I wanted it to be inside. And I like what makes him a runic warrior is he's got some kind of weapon, some kind of magical weapon that he's wielding there, and he's sort of, I'm going to say he's igniting the forge with it. So, kind of a throwback to a couple of days earlier when I drew that. So always nice when you can do that. And we've got a cave-in warning sign, and I think I took this quite far. So rather than just do a sign, I did a full-blown cave-in. So I think I was committed to there of being some kind of natural disaster which has attracted the orcs, and maybe made the dwarves head up to see what's happened to their kind of dwarf hold, or maybe they've just discovered it, I don't know. And then we get a rune axe. So I like the idea of rune weapons. In old school kind of fantasy, rune weapons are the most powerful weapons there are in terms of magical items. So it was quite kind of nice to kind of maybe have one of these that has been discovered in the cave-in somehow. Maybe it caused the cave-in. Maybe it's of ill intent. Who knows? So that'd be for you to decide if you run this as a dungeon. But great fun to draw nonetheless. And then we've got an ancient mystic, which I decided would be on the outside of the dwarf hold. So I think lots of different parties are trying to make their way in, and the mystic I think is just teleported right there and realised, or maybe thought there used to be a doorway here, but there isn't anymore, so now I'm going to have to find another way in, I think. So yeah. And there we go, the end of another row. Starting to feel a bit more interesting now. I like how spacious this is getting. I think this scale works. I think future maps will be in this scale as well. Okay, now we get a mine cart, so that means I've got to do mine tracks. And I'm always worried about doing mine tracks because it means I've got to continue them on, and I never know what's going to come next. So it's always a bit of a gamble. But yeah, kept it simple. Didn't think it. I mean, I could have done somebody riding it, but I kind of wanted to keep this quite lonely and a bit mysterious. And then we get magma tunnel, which in the snow is maybe problematic. So I decided this is where the mine tracks are coming from. Is this kind of magma tunnel in the ground? And when I come to the colour part, I'll make sure this is kind of glowing and kind of like a bit of a focal point on the map. Next up we got a slain troll, so perhaps the dwarf warrior has finished him off, and he's just kind of just laid out on a rock where the dwarf finished him off. He's left his axe in him because trolls can regenerate, so he's going to have a harder time to regenerate if he's got an axe embedded in his back, I would imagine anyway. I mean, I know fire's the only sure fire way to kill one, but it's good fun to draw nonetheless. Then we get a tunnel scout, problematically not in a tunnel, so I kind of thought, well, let's just make him a regular scout who normally does tunnels, but you know, he's above ground today, and he's kind of supporting the rune warrior. He's spotted the orcs and he's just reaching for an arrow for his short bow there, and just about to enter the hold. Okay, and then we've got a black powder cache, whatever you say. So I kind of just put these as barrels in amongst the cave in, and I started to think, oh, well, what could be fun is what if a dwarf was caught in the cave in and this is their only way out, so they can try and blow their way out with this black powder. So I was always told what makes a fun illustration is either just before something exciting or just after something exciting, so I kind of hope this applies to the map as well. Okay, and then we got a warband, so our more orcs, so in amongst the cave in. I think they've kind of made a wrong turn and ended up in a part of the hold that's kind of completely sealed off. Unknown to them, they're probably imminently about to get blowed up by the dwarf lighting the fuse on the black powder. That dwarf's probably going to blow himself up as well, but there you go. You know, it's all good fun in dungeon adventuring, isn't it? Okay, next one, Throne of the Thane. So this is always interesting when you get something that's clearly intended to be indoors, but it's outdoors. So I kind of thought, well, what if this is like a carving in the cliff face of an ancient dwarven ruler? That kind of, maybe this hold was once a very important place, hence the rune axe that's there. But like, yeah, maybe this was once visible throughout. Anyone who looked up at the mountain, and they'd see this great carving, but now fallen into ruin a little bit. So there we go, we've got a bit more drama happening now. Yeah, I really like this map. I kind of like how, I don't know, how desolate it is a little bit. It's good fun, and I like the potential drama of the explosion. And then we get another Thane themed one. We get the ghost of the old Thane. So I kind of thought, well, maybe the Thane was leading this thing. He took a bad fall and has impaled himself on some rocks. And his spirit is desperate to try and get whatever's in there, get that rune axe. So his spirit still lingers while he's impaled on a rock, which I thought was interesting as a narrative device. Perhaps that could be part of the quest. Maybe your party is investigating the dwarves that have gone and not come back. And then we've got Echoing Hole. So not only do dwarves live in these mountains, but I imagine something else it does as well. So yeah, I just wanted a really eerie kind of cave that maybe that's where the troll came from. I don't know. And then Mighty Axe. I felt like I'd had a couple of weapons just kind of here and there. So I wanted to do like a big orc, you know, like maybe the orc is hunting the dwarves. These champions got massive axe. And that's what I like about these prompts. You can kind of interpret them however you want, and I always try and interpret it in however the map is leading me. And then we get another weapon, so I was glad I went with an orc for this one. And I kind of wanted to bring this indoors a little bit. And we just got a sword and an anvil. So maybe this was a place for great craftsmen and weapon makers and things like that at one point, but now abandoned. So yeah, just a sword and an anvil. Probably magic. Who knows? Who knows? The next one, Lava Falls. Okay, so in my head I was thinking this is a great way to put some colour into this quite, what I envisioned to be quite a cold map, so really wanted to make a big deal out of this kind of cave-in having maybe erupted like lava deep beneath the mountain. Maybe this is a long dormant volcano and everything's going to kick off now this cave-in has happened. So yeah, just kind of beginning to plan the lava. We'll probably extend it down, we'll see. Ghostly miners, so probably more casualties of the cave-in. I always like drawing ghosts, you all know that. So yeah, just kept it simple, just ghostly shapes with pickaxes. I think that communicates what I need it to pretty well, without them being confused for other dwarves. And then Drunken Battle Chanter. I kind of thought that this guy is kind of a bit of a blowhard, bit of a bit of a show off. So he's ignored his dwarven companions and said, I can climb the mountain myself. And you know, even though he's drunk, he's gone pretty far, but I don't quite know where he's going to go after this. I suspect he doesn't either, so that's always fun. You know, I'd like to think that in the grand scheme of things, ironically, I'd say he would be the one who survives the longest, or maybe even survives altogether, but we'll see. And there we go, this is the rest of the map now. It's coming together, only a couple more days left to do. Yeah, pretty pleased so far. I was aware I'd have to find a way up the mountain because we kind of started on the mountain, so we're a bit worried about that. Grudge Ledger. Now, one of the things I like about kind of Warhammer Dwarves is their Book of Grudges, so I was very pleased to be able to include a Book of Grudges, and that may well be the worst axe I've ever drawn. I was so pleased I was doing some digital aspects of this so I could fix it. But yeah, just the book that maybe Thane was carrying, so there's a handcuff that was attached to his wrist. And then we've got anvil-shaped altar. So literally, just maybe it's a place where dwarves who are climbing the mountain, they pray upon it. And I kind of took the opportunity to do like a staircase that probably snakes around the top of this mountain that leads to this kind of lost dwarf hold. Maybe it was a holy place or a place of great importance. And that's why there's this stair cut into the cliff face. Yeah, I think it works. I think it makes for an interesting kind of location. So, and then it was just a case of continuing everything else down, marking in where I was going to colour in black, and then yeah, just kind of drawing it all in now, putting all those little details in. Yeah, I always like it when I'm at the end of this kind of map, because then I can kind of beautify it a little bit and kind of make it feel kind of whole, because I think because I work on this over a month, I never quite know how it's going to turn out, so this is my opportunity to kind of fix things a little bit and make them stand out, or rather my first opportunity. I suppose when I work digitally I do a lot of fixing and things like that. So my poor black pen has died. I think they typically last me about 3 months before I have to replace them, so after I've made this video I'll be heading into town to buy a new big fat smelly pen, because you can't run an art practice without a big fat smelly pen. It's just, you just can't do it. Yeah, and you can kind of see how that kind of scraggly stuff, that's what happens when it runs out. You just don't get the same thing, and it doesn't smell as good either, unfortunately. And yeah, so there we go. That was the kind of after the 30 days, the next step was to rub everything out and scan it in. So yeah, this is the scan. You can kind of see it's not pure black, so I've got a lot to change. Genuinely quite happy with it. Compositionally, everything kind of works. I think it's a narrative, it kind of flows quite nicely. Yeah, just really tidying up. So this is me tidying up, making the darks darker, adding a few more shadows here and there, particularly around the cave-in and the troll, and just kind of making the statues stand out a little bit. Nothing major, just the odd thickening of a line here and there. And then the three tones of grey, which really brings everything to life. This is probably my favourite part. You can really see if it works, and I was really happy with it at this point. Yeah, so making sure anything that was magical or bright was kind of a white, while everything else kind of has the grey tones in it. So reasonably happy with that at that stage, which is good. And colour-wise, I wanted to keep it quite monochromatic, so my kind of base colours are very kind of knocked back, with an overlayer of kind of this blue. I kind of wanted the blacks to become a bit more bluish. I added a couple of eyes into the cave because I thought it was funny. And yeah, so I think I was quite pleased. I think it echoes that kind of loneliness I wanted to get across by keeping it quite monochromatic like that. And then just adding some bright kind of effects like the lava and the ghosts and the rune weapon and the gold statue. You know, that really, for me, helped kind of bring it to life a little bit. It's just having these pops of colour, while still not as bright as they could be. They are overlaid with a bit more blue as well. But yeah, I was really pleased with this in the end. So September's map is pretty much done. The only thing left is to add the title. I hope you enjoyed this video. So we're pretty much at the end. So don't forget, tune in tomorrow as I start doing a video every day for the whole month of October, or I'm going to try to anyway. I hope I can do it. But yeah, thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, like and subscribe. If you're able to support the Patreon, please do. You'll get a shout out like my lovely patrons here. And failing that, folks, I will see you on the next video, which is tomorrow. Okay, take it easy. Bye now. Bye.